Hello dear students, this is Madhurima Miss. In my today's video, I am going to continue with the chapter that I had already started explaining in my previous video, and the name of the chapter is The Model Millionaire, written by Oscar Wilde. I have already explained this first page of this short story in my previous video. Do check the video to know how it started and uh, how far I had explained, and I am going to continue from the portion that is starting from page number 88, from the ending of this portion. And the portion before that I had already explained in my previous video. Do check the video to know how it started. Now, as I had already mentioned here, that Hughie was the person who was unable to stick to a profession, who was not good at making money, who did not have any permanent income, and was living on 200 pounds or dollars that he was getting from his old aunt. Okay, and after that I had already said that he was in love. To make the matters worse, he was in love. He was in love with the person named Laura, with the girl named Laura, and Laura was the daughter of the colonel, and Laura adored Hughie, and they were the most handsomest couple in London. But Cornell never agreed to engagement. Why? Because Hughie did not have any permanent income. So after that, what is being said here, let us see. Come to me, my boy, when you have got 10,000 pounds of your own, and we will see about it, he used to say. He refers to the colonel. Okay, he refers to the colonel, the father of Laura. He used to say that, boy, when you are able to earn 10,000 pounds of your own, not earning it from somebody else, on your own, not getting it as a grant from an old aunt or old uncle. It's not like that. So when you can earn on your own, then my boy, you can come and ask for the hand of Laura. Ask me for the permission to marry my daughter. Who is saying that? Cornell is saying that. And Hughie looked very glum on those days. Glum means very sad, disappointed, dejected. Okay, so Hughie looked very glum on those days and had to go to Laura for consolation. So Hughie was very disappointed that he cannot carry on with his life. He cannot get engaged to the love of his life, Laura. Why? Because he cannot make money. He is not good at making money. He does not have any permanent source of income. That's why Colonel, even though he liked Hughie as a person, but he would not allow Hughie to marry his daughter. That's why he would go to this boy. Hughie would go to Laura for consolation. Okay, like Laura would make him feel better that it's okay, you are unable to get my father's permission, but maybe he would agree to our relationship later. Maybe he would give you the permission to marry me later. So such things comes under the consolation. Next, what happens? One morning, as he was on his way to Holland Park, where the Martins lived, he dropped in to see a great friend of his, Alan Trevor. Now we are getting introduced to another character. Earlier we got introduced to Hughie, then we got introduced to the love of his life, Laura, and Laura's father, the colonel. And now we are getting introduced to the fourth character, Alan Trevor. Who is Alan Trevor? He was a great friend of Hughie. Who is Alan Trevor again? What is how he is introduced to the story? That Alan Trevor was the great friend of Hughie. Okay, Trevor was a painter. So what was the profession of Alan Trevor, the great friend of Hughie? Alan Trevor was a painter by profession. Okay, but he was also an artist, and not all, and artists are rather rare. So Oscar Wilde is saying that even though anyone can be a painter, but not everyone can be an artist. It takes a great qualities. It takes a good amount of qualities. It requires such specialities to be an artist. Okay, Anyone can be a painter, but not all of them can be an artist. So that is why Oscar Wilde is pointing out this portion that Trevor was a great painter. First he is saying that he was a great painter. Then he is adding this portion saying that he was also an artist. Also an artist. And artists are rather rare. So artists with their artistic vision, artistic qualities, they are rare to be found. That is why Oscar Wilde is separating the painter from an artist. Okay, personally he was a strange rough fellow with a freckled face and a red ragged beard. However, so this is where the physical, how he looked, the physical description of Alan Trevor is given, that Alan Trevor has a face, freckled face, freckled, you can there are patches, brown or black patches, when there are those patches on somebody's face, that those patches are called freckles. Okay, so he had a freckled face, who? Alan Trevor, and had a red ragged beard. Okay, however, when he took up the brush, he was a real master, and his pictures were eagerly sought after. Means people would love to hire Alan Trevor as a painter, as an artist. They would sought after his works, they would look for his work. So he was good at his work. That's why people sought after him, right? So he was earning his livelihood by working as a painter, as an artist. He had been very much attracted by Hughie at first. It must be acknowledged entirely on account of his personal charm. So why was he attracted at the beginning? Hughie had this charming personality. That is why he was famous among both men and women. So Alan Trevor was also impressed by his charm. That's why Alan Trevor was attracted by Hughie at first. So much attracted because of what? Only on the account of, because of his personal charm, because of the personal charm that Hughie possessed. Okay, the only people a painter should know, he would say, who would say, this is about Alan Trevor, this entire paragraph is about Alan Trevor. Okay, he would say the only people a painter should know, he would say, are the people who are beautiful, people who are an artistic pleasure to look at, an intellectual repose to talk to. As per Alan Trevor, artists are supposed to look for people by looking at their face you can have a great pleasure. Okay, artists are supposed to be surrounded by such people who have a very beautiful face, who are beautiful people to talk to, an intellectual repose to talk to. You can talk to them and can have artistic pleasure by looking at their face. So as per Alan Trevor, artists are supposed to be surrounded by this kind of people. Men who are dandies and women who are darlings rule the world, at least they should do so. So as per Alan Trevor, who are supposed to rule the world? Men who are dandies and women who are darlings. Beautiful people are supposed to rule the world. However, after he got to know Hughie better, he liked him quite as much for his bright, buoyant spirits and his generous, reckless nature, and had given him the permanent entry to his studio. So not everyone was allowed to enter his studio. Only Hughie was given the permission to enter his studio. A permanent entry was given to Hughie. Why? Because of Hughie's buoyant spirit, bright, buoyant spirit that Hughie owned. Okay, that Hughie possessed. And what else? And his generous, reckless nature. Why generous, reckless? Because Hughie can be generous to the extent of being reckless. That's why it is being used as together, that Hughie's reckless, generous, reckless nature impressed Alan Trevor. And because of all of this, Hughie was given a permanent entry to his studio. When Hughie came in, he found Trevor putting the finishing touches to a wonderful life-size picture of a beggar man. So when Hughie enters the studio, he says that Trevor was just finishing up with his work. He was giving finishing touches to the work he was doing. And what work was he doing? He was painting a portrait of a he was painting a life-size picture. Life-size picture of whom? Of a beggar man. Okay, of a beggar man. The beggar himself was standing on a raised platform in a corner of the studio. So where the beggar was standing on a raised platform, and the platform was situated in the corner of the studio. He was wizened old man with a wizened means he had wrinkles on his face. Okay, with a face like wrinkled parchment again, as if his face was crumbled. Okay, he had he had a very old looking face, very grumpy, very wrinkled face he had, and a most piteous expression, like if you look at that person's face, you are bound to take pity on him. So he had that kind of expression, and this is the look of the beggar man that is being described over here. The beggar man who was the model for Hughie's great friend, who is an artist, Trevor Allen. Trevor Allen was painting a life-size picture of this beggar man, and the beggar man looked like this. He was a wizened old man and had a wrinkled face and had a piteous expression. These are the key words you need to mention when you are supposed to describe how this beggar man looked. Okay, over his shoulders was flung a coarse brown cloak, all tears and tatters. His tears and tatters. Okay, so it was not a very new, fresh cloth that he was wearing. He was dressed up as a beggar man. Definitely he was wearing something tattered. His thick boots were patched and cobbled, and with one hand he leant on a rough stick, while with the other he held out his battered hat for alms. So he would held out his hat upside down in a manner for asking for money, like the way a beggar on the street would held out his hat to look for money. Okay, so to look for alms. Okay, so in that way he was posing. The beggar man was posing in that way. What an amazing model, whispered Hughie as he shook hands with his friend. So Hughie was shaking hands with his friend Alan Trevor, and he made this comment, he whispered to Alan Trevor that what an amazing model. An amazing model, shouted Trevor at the top of his voice. Now, Trevor was the person who knew his client, the client that he was painting, the life-size beggar man. Life-size picture of, he was creating a life-size picture of the beggar man, but Trevor knew that he was not a beggar man. He was he was the richest person of that country that he was making the picture about. Okay, but Hughie didn't know that. So Hughie thought it was actually the beggar. An amazing model, Hughie exclaimed. Trevor said, repeated the term that Hughie already whispered. Okay, an amazing model. This is, I should think so. Who is saying that? Trevor is saying that. Such beggars as he are not to be met with every day. So actually Trevor knew who that person is, the real identity of that beggar-like model. Okay, he knew the identity, true identity of that model. So he is saying that such beggars are not supposed to be met with regularly. You cannot find such a rich beggar every day. So he tried to mean that. Okay, you cannot get the chance to meet such a person every day. A living Velasquez was an artist. And my stars, what an etching Rembrandt would have made of him. So he is saying that these famous artists, how they must have painted very heart-wrenching pictures of such a person if they had got the chance to paint this beggar. What kind of pictures, what kind of portrait they might have painted. Who? Velasquez and Rembrandt. They are both eminent, well-known artists. Okay. Rembrandt, as far as I know, was a Dutch artist. So Trevor is saying, I wonder how they might have painted this beggar man if they had got the chance. So I'm ending my video today here. Next portion I will, after page number 89 from 90 onwards, I will explain in my next video. Hope this video is helpful for you, and if you think that it is really helpful for you, do not forget to share this video among your friend, and do subscribe my channel, and don't forget to like this video. Thank you for watching my videos.